Yeah, we're live. How's everybody doing? Couple things. One, we're going to talk about this, and that's these blowers. Get my camera to refocus here. Refocus its life. This is a lot of stuff to focus on. Come on, camera. Ported blower. We'll try to take a look at that as soon as I can get this camera to somewhat cooperate. So we're going to take a look inside here at the ported blower. Both of these just arrived from the guys at Jokers, which is awesome. So we'll talk about that. Also, I have a camera. You're taking all your time. See, I've even cleaned all that up. All that's in there. See inside. Much, much better. Here's the discharge side. You can kind of see on here. Lots of porting. And so you see we still have the Super Richie 3.5-inch inlet on there, which is cool. So we'll be testing those hopefully before too long. Also want to talk about the fact that I just posted another video up, and that video is 6 different camshafts that I ran on a 5.3 liter. So we've got essentially Summit Racing Pro LS stuff versus the world. We have the Big Nasty cam versus a Summit sloppy stage 1.5. We have the Summit Pro LS 8711 R1, so they're bigger stage 3 or 4 cam versus the sloppy stage 3. And then we have that same cam versus the BTR stage 4 LS3 cam when this combination was equipped with the ported heads and a short runner intake. In this case, it was a Holley low ram. So high RPM stuff, 7,500. So if you want to hear the motor zinging out there, obviously it sounds very, very good. And then, the cams are maybe arguably a little bit more home out there at that RPM with that short runner manifold. And so they're able to make lots of power, especially when you team them with the, you've got enough cam time and you team it with the proper intake manifold that wants to make power out there, and then plenty of head flow, which we had in the case of the Trick Flow, the 220 ASCAS, no longer ASCAS, ported by Brian Tooley, guys. So all that video is up right now. So we all want to talk about the blower. We want to talk about that. We also want to talk about, I want everybody, again, today, we want you to try to guess. I have run this 5.3 liter L33 for a number. I've had it for almost 2 years now. I was going back and looking at all the data yesterday, and I've had it for almost 2 years now, I think. And I've used it for lots of testing. We've run blowers on it, turbos on it. I did the airflow testing on the little AMR 500. I've tested spark plugs and oil and different intake manifolds and, all kinds of different cylinder heads, all kinds of stuff. So the question is, how many runs, how many dyno pulls does that junkyard L33, because it just came out of the junkyard and then started, was immediately put into service as a dyno mule. So how many pulls do you think that motor has on it? And the person that guesses wins a cam, a chopper cobber cam. So I have one of those sitting here from a previous test that I did. I want to help you guys out. You guys guess how many dyno pulls the thing has as of right now, because I'm obviously going to keep dyno testing it. But how many pulls does it have as of right now that I have counted? Because I keep all of the dyno pulls, obviously, because we use them over and over again for information, which is always good. More information is always better. Information over speculation, obviously good. So how many dyno pulls does it have? The guy who guesses will win the camshaft, and we're going to keep this going for, I'm saying, a week. And then I'll choose a winner based on whoever guesses the number. So it will be fun. In fact, let's do that this weekend. Let's do it on the weekend. Let's pick on Sunday then. So we have till Sunday. When I go on live, it's on Sunday night, Sunday during the day, whenever it is. That's when we'll pick the winner. So please, if you haven't, go take a look. Most of you probably haven't, since I just now put it up, but go take a look at the Summit Cam video. That's good stuff. And then I'm excited about these blowers too. I've been checking them out, looking in there. Let's see if I can shine a light in there, you can see the porting a little bit better. It's all smooth. Nice. Ooh, turn it this way. Kind of see in there a little bit better. Transitioned all of this stuff really nice. This was all kind of beat up when I when I first did it. It's nice. And then on this side here, we can kind of see up here also. You can see they kind of put a radius on that. Pretty good stuff. You can kind of see in there also on the porting on the top side. Obviously, they cleaned up the blower, which is nice as well. They got rid of all my carbon. That's the that's the Super Richie sealing carbon, though. It helps the blower make more power, right? So you guys let me know what you think. So I have 2 of those. So now my son and I brought home another housing. We're going to try to do a hydro dip on it to see if we can make it look fancy. And if we can, that would be cool. We want to try to, pretty them up a little bit. They cleaned them, they look a lot better now than they did. And so I might have them sandblasted or something, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm excited to try those. So we'll put those back on the 5.3, and then I need to reconfigure it, obviously, with a big camshaft. We're freaking out again here. See if I can figure out a trick. It didn't like when I was showing you guys the blower. That's what happened. You're going to say 15. Yeah, no, it's a lot more than that. I get that in one session. So we're going to run this blower again. I'll have to reconfigure the 5.3. We'll have to put the big camshaft in it, and we already have the ported heads on it, so that's not a big deal. And then we'll have to run that again and see what happens. Before it made, I think the most we've made so far is 615 with the blower. So we'll have to get the thing so that I'll have to make sure that the belt's not slipping. Now that I have this ATI super damper. See if I can't grab this. It's not letting me. There we go. So we'll put that, and that's actually bigger than the factory crank pulley, so that will help things. And it is more than 6 ribs. It's 8 or 10, so we can run. And then the ZZP pulley that I have is that also. So if we can figure out a way to configure an 8 or 10 rib pulley on there to eliminate belt slippage, that would be awesome. So we get the thing to, the big number that we're looking at is all the way into the belt slippage, like RPM range. So we want to try to fix that. So it'll be interesting to see what this ported blower has to offer. And then that way I can run the bigger throttle body on there as we have before. That will be just nothing but good stuff. So let's see what you guys got going on. You're going to say 15. Richard, the drive shaft adapter for my Kawasaki Ninja engine came in the mail, fits perfectly on the output spline, and it's tightened down. So Dylan, what are you running? What are you running the Ninja engine on? Is it a go-kart or something? You can scan it with your phone, and AI will build a 3D model and print lightweight blowers. I don't think I want a printed blower. Looks like they ported the heck out of that thing. It's beautiful. I'm sticking to my 217 number. I'm at work. Hopefully don't get caught watching. There you go. Got to hide, right? Australia's in the house. What's going on, Dale? Ooh, shipping day. It is. I did get shipments today. So I'm excited about that. I'm curious to see what it's, how much the porting. We've put ourselves in a position, and I talked about this long ago. When I first did the M90 comparison and it didn't work, it didn't make the power. I had a lot of things going against me. One was my own mistake, and I stepped up and admitted that immediately. It was the thing. This thing didn't have enough timing in it, and that was because of the way that we had the Holly set up and not having a TPS on it. We've run lots of stuff with TPSs, but I didn't click one of the boxes that eliminated or enabled this TPS function, so that we basically just, it took away a bunch of timing. That Gen 3 blower with the stock pulley does not make enough power to even make NA power anyway, so it still wouldn't have done that. We would have had to run more pulley to get the thing up over NA power, because when I ran it before, you'll remember I ran a high ram and we ran it on a 4.8, and I ran a cammed high ram combination. I think that the cam was I want to say it was like a torque cam or something, so it wasn't a lot. I think the motor was only making like 375 or something, but I didn't even make that. And one of the problems, obviously, you know, a stock pulley is not going to get us there, but it should get us to that, maybe that level. But it just didn't have nearly enough timing in it, so we were running it, and that was my mistake. But after doing that, and I had talked about this a few times, that people want to see, like, how much can it make? How much can the M90 make? And when you start going down that road, you start going like we're doing here. You start going to extremes. Okay, well, how can we make more power with that? You end up having, you know, just the basic rotor pack being the same. And then you completely, like we have, modify the housing, the inlet, the discharge. You know, you start going down the cog pulley route. You start going down the higher speed bearing route. All of these things just in an effort to demonstrate what the maximum potential is of a blower, where you should have already stepped up in blower size. Because if you're trying to make, let's say you're trying to make 700 horsepower, you shouldn't be using this blower. You should be using something else. There are a lot easier ways to make that kind of power. But on the other side of that, it's also cool to try to get to some big number, knowing that you're restricted. And how do we work around that? And with a blower, the way to work around that is, if you're limited in flow and you're making boost, then start improving the other end of the equation, and that's the NA motor. Start making the NA motor better, and start having the blower still spin the same, and making less boost. That way it flows more air. So we have to attack this from both sides. So it's going to be, I'm excited about it. It's going to be kind of cool. Just bought a CTSV LS6 with 480,000 miles. Nice. It's just getting broken in, right? You have to drive it and get to 1 million miles. You have to go another 20,000. So you have, 500,000 miles. That's good. Finally made it. Winston, what's going on? I plan on making a go-kart version of one of those 30s era Grand Prix Indy cars, or a drift tractor looking thing. I have an LSD out of FCRX7. Okay, cool. So is it going to look like like when they used to race offies and stuff back in the day? RX7 diff, because it's what I got on hand. That's the best things. Those are the things that you can use, that you have, and then work around that. I do that all the time at West Tech. Please show the blower again. You can see all the port. I had a light on there before. You can see all the porting and stuff. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Oh. So, and then make sure that you're guessing on how much, how many dyno pulls we have on the 5.3. How many pulls have I made, so you can get a chance to win a camshaft. That's always good. What does the blower fit? This blower was originally installed on the 3800 V6. On the later ones, like 2005 and up, I think. They're the Gen 5 blowers. So they also had Gen 3 blowers on the earlier ones all the way back to 97, and they had smaller M62s before that. But this is an M90. I'm building 5.3, and by the end of it, I have more than half of what I need to go for another one. Putting stuff together. Richard, did you ever find the difference between the two BTR Stage 2 cams? The original Stage 2, 227, 234, and the new one, 227, 238. You mean, did I ever find out the difference in terms of power? I know that I haven't compared those two directly that I can ever remember. I mean, I bought a CTSV one with $500,000. There you go. I'm still going with 186 or 168. You know, both are good choices. Paid $5,000 for the whole car. Nice. Runs and drives like new. No lights on the dash. That should be an easy fix, though, right? Is the porting something Jokers is able to offer the public to the future? Yeah, I think if it works, I think that they probably. I'm guessing that they have made a program for it by now. What are the before and after flow numbers of the blower? That's not really how we measure blower stuff. We don't flow it on a flow bench. The way for us to know is to run it before and after on the dyno. And we have to run it under the same configuration to know if there's a power gain. And ideally, and which I didn't do beforehand, I would have had the air turbine on it to measure the airflow to see what the change was. But I don't have that. But hopefully we'll see enough of a power change that we'll go, okay, that's good enough reason. Paid $5,000 for the whole car. Why don't you? That's how NHRA tests its modifications on its blowers. The NHRA does, or the people that do the blowers do? I'm not sure, having never done it. I'm not sure how flow improvements on a bench translate to flow improvements dynamically. Mini Alfa Romeo 158-ish thing is my best example. Okay, yeah, I'll take a look. Let's see. I think Booth. I think right now Jokers is. I think most of their things are these later, bigger blowers, like the LSA stuff. But I don't see why they wouldn't do that if people are interested. I think people would be more apt to do the more expensive, bigger blowers than they would M90s, because a lot of M90 stuff now, these Grand Prix and things are, much less expensive cars. And so people have less money to spend on the blowers. And for a lot of these guys with the 3800s, you can get to the point where you can make more power than the transmission will stand. So they have to upgrade the transmission before they can make more power. I've been in conversation with the gentleman that has the Metro, and we're still trying to make that work. He's still trying to get it back together. Apparently, it was all apart. He had the dash out and everything. I think he was stripping it to make it some kind of race car or something. And so it's going back together. I want it to be a regular kind of street car, and so it's going back into that general area, the general vicinity of being a street car. Because I'd like it to be, it's an XFI. I'd like it to be an XFI driver, which would be ideal. And it looks like I'll have to do a few things to it already, but that's okay. Tim did my guess was 79 pulls on the dyno win. We won't know who won until Sunday. Richard, can you tell me the name of the custom head gasket guys again? Cometic, is that the people that you're thinking of? I think Cometic makes custom head gaskets for the Rover engine. I'm surprised that somebody doesn't make an MLS gasket for that engine already, or that the factory isn't an MLS gasket. It's supposed to be a modern version. Because don't they have factory supercharged Rover engines? Or you're working on an older version, right? My attack dogs are in the readiness. I got my LS6 intake manifold in the mail. That's good. If no one guesses right, I'd say Price is Right rules. Yeah, it'd be closest, I think. Oh, I lost my light. Yeah, is yours, Taylor, is yours an LS, like a factory LS6, or is it the reproduction that Dorman does? The newer engines or Jag motors? Okay. Personally think a weird drift tractor thing would be best for my area because I can technically put an orange triangle on the back and drive it on the road. Well, that's perfect, right? You're winning. What's the Dorman number? I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head what the Dorman LS6 number is. I've tested it before. I've tested both the LS6 version and also their LS2 version. Some guys call it a fast, but it's not a fast. It's not a copy of a fast. It makes less power than a fast does. I don't know if I think we did test the Dorman on that. Did those M90 blowers whine? I know the Roush M90 versions let out serious wail louder than a pulleyed Cobra. I don't know why one would do more than the other unless it's a frequency thing, maybe the wall thickness or something. But an M90 makes blower whine too, yeah. Booth Motors is saying the Dorman LS6 is a 615-900 part number. Super rich intakes, yeah. I really like the inlet of this. That should help. And because we're at or near the flow limit of the stock blower, then I think we're in the it's going to benefit range. Richard, any word on the double piston testing coming up? No, I actually haven't heard anything from them. I'm converting my Gen 2 carb, so I have a standalone for my 4L60E. So when I blow it up, I can swap plugs to 480. Use the same controller. Okay. Richard, did you like the sound of the Kenny Bell Cobras? Yeah, I like Terminator motors, and I like the way that they sound with blowers on them. Comatic does make a bunch of gaskets for the Rover. Yeah, I've worked with the Comatic guys before. They're good people. They make a lot of stuff. We used to do we did head gaskets. I don't know if Comatic was even business back then, but back when we were doing the Honda stuff, they used to take the factory gaskets and they used to sandwich them with a deck plate and a bore, and then they would take a mill and go in and cut the gasket out and to make it a bigger bore gasket, so we could have an MLS gasket for an 84 millimeter bore. And that's how those are the gaskets that we ran on a lot of turbo things, and including Bonneville stuff way back before we started being able to buy off the shelf ones. Can I just swap plugs for an upgrade? I don't know about the swap stuff. Richard, I'm thinking adapting a Hellcat blower to an 8.1, talking to a machinist about modifying the stock intake manifold. Anything can be done with welding and machining. You could make the blower fit on there. Yep, lots of. I'm a big fan of Honda stuff. My son drives a Civic. That's what we got him for his first car, and they work very well. Chad still has the VX, which I love. As far as they don't use copper gaskets with O-rings for what? For Rovers? I've never run copper head gaskets with O-rings on anything that I can remember. I don't think I ever even tried the trick flow, the wire ring gaskets that you machine the block for, and they insert in there. I don't think I've ever run those on anything. I think all the things I ran with blowers and stuff, we always ran the 1011 2s. But then I was never making a ton of power with any of the 5-liter stuff. You know, because they blow up and they split in half. Kind of. So this is a blower. And this is a cam. So what kind of cam is it? It's just a blower cam, right? My dogs disagree with me. When do top fuel hoops come into play? I don't know. I've never gotten there. Can't kill a Honda. I have an 83 250 that sat with water on the crankcase for 3 years as it runs after I put fresh oil in it. I had I can't remember if it was I think it might have been an Accord. It was like a 77 that a friend of mine gave me if I would go. One day we were wanting to buy Jack in the Box tacos. I live with him, and he said, if you will go get the tacos, I will give you the Accord. He was getting another car anyways. May have already had it by then. But it was a silver Accord, and it was painted with that really bright chrome spray paint. So it's like when they first did it, you couldn't even hardly look at it in the sun because it was so bright. But it didn't have fifth gear, and third gear was bad. So you had to do a 1, 2, fourth gear, like a skip shift. It smoked a little bit, but it was a running car. And so I obviously gladly did it. I drove that thing forever. But my story is that in Huntington Beach one time, there was a flood and the car filled up, I don't know, midway up the door or something. Got a bunch of water in the motor and stuff. All we do is drain everything and put oil back in it. We let the thing dry and had to run fans and stuff in it. And even then there was just, mold would grow everywhere. So we kept having to try to address that issue with bleach and everything. But so we took the carpets out and all that stuff. But the thing just kept running. It didn't care. It's like, a flood. I got this and there's nothing. Just let the doors open and fish flopping out and stuff. That would have been a better story. But obviously that can't happen on a closed door. I have an M90 I got at Pick a Parts in perfect condition. I have no use for it. Someone can use it for $100. Can I make some dirty dingo or RCT billet motor mounts work with my unknown brand small block Ford K member for my Fox body? I don't know. I'd never used their stuff. Getaway, what's up? Halfway between Portland and Seattle, Washington State. Dude, you guys are up in Washington. You need to bring that Metro down for me. Lost one of my cars in flood. It sucks when that happens. Yeah. This was just sitting. This was just parked, and it was a weird incident in Huntington Beach when they got a ton of rain and it flooded a bunch of stuff. This wasn't getting swept away by a flash flood or anything. It's just parked in a really, really low area. But it kept running basically forever. And then I ended up trading that car to somebody else who needed a runaround beater car. I traded him that car for an intercooler for a Supra Turbo for a 2J. I just traded him for the intercooler. The one thing that made me mad about that car is I had parked it over in the industrial area in Huntington Beach where we do a bunch of testing and stuff. And somebody broke the window to try to steal the stereo, which the stereo didn't work. And also the car was unlocked because we purposely didn't leave it locked. And I purposely didn't ever leave it with very much fuel so that if somebody did steal the car, that at least they wouldn't get away with a whole bunch of extra money worth of fuel. Regarding intake design, do you think a full 360-degree loop to make a runner longer would still have an intake charge momentum benefit? The reflected waves travels distance. It doesn't care about the runner shape. I just drained the engine, filled it with filled it with an old engine for my Civic, let idle for the duration of Black Betty drained that and added the recommended oil. Quite a low unit. Nice. Scrambler bike. What size injectors do you recommend on an M90 2.6 pulley on a stock 5.3? We run 80s on it because that gives us room to grow, and 80s are cheap. You could get away with something smaller than that. A stock 5.3 with a 2.6 is going to make should be 100 up on stock, I would think. Is the truck 6.4 heavy piston better than a car 6.4 heavy piston for boost? I actually think that those are the same piston in those two things. I can't swear to that, but I don't know why that they would have different ones for those. Richard, does Westex sell hoodies and t-shirts? They have them. I don't know if they sell them or not. You'd have to ask Troy or Steve to find out if they do. If they do that. In this last video the one that I posted today, I even gave all of the opening and closing. So I gave valve events so people have more to argue about. Center lines, intake, opening, intake, close, exhaust, open, exhaust, close, overlap, obviously lift, duration, lobe separation angle. On all but the BTR cam because they didn't provide that information. We use old engine oil all the time. Will 80-pound injectors have room to grow from 10 pounds on a 5.3 with a 223, 226, 111? I may want more boost. Yeah, are you talking about is this the M90? Oh, that's not. 80-pound injectors will support 1,000 horsepower on gas, but not that much on E85. What smells worse, supercharger oil or rear end gear oil? They're very comparable, aren't they? So we have to do a poll, right? What did we pick yesterday? Was the question yesterday? Has the L33 run more than 100 dyno poles? Was that the question yesterday? Okay, so we're gonna up our game. Not that this tells you which direction we're going, because it's made the question or the answer may be the same for both of them. But has the L33 run more than 150 dyno poles? We'll see what the poll people have to say. Have you done any ITB tuning using Alpha N in a Holly, or is it still best to use VE? We have done Alpha N, I think, when we didn't have TPS capability for some reason on some of these. Probably the Speedmaster stuff, if I remember right. And I don't remember if I did that. I don't think I did. I think either Ish or I know, and way back, I remember Tom did that also. Got the inlet air temps installed today. I placed it in the plenum just behind the throttle body, in line with cylinder number 4. That's fine. The plenum the temperature should all be the same in the plenum. Brad, okay, I cammed my truck. 1009 GMC Sierra 4-wheel drive. Runs okay, but could run better. I've already put 4,000 in this truck. Tune or no tune, by the way. Well, by the way, wife is MSD. I don't know what that means. If you put a cam in it, it needs to be tuned. BS Racing had decent prices on Deca 80s from what I remember. Yeah, and you could also go to the Snake Eater stuff. I've had good luck with them. Matt's had good luck with them. I know that you get the other side of the equation there, that, you know, the guys that don't want anybody to buy anything cheap. You got to buy everything brand new, and you got to buy everything the most expensive thing because it's the best thing. You get those guys that say, oh, I won't even tune those injectors, but not knowing any better, I just float them and make sure that they're all pretty even and then put them on. And I've run them many, many times and not had any issues at all. I scrapped my 5.3 project block and bought a 6-liter. 6-liter has steel heads. Would be worth getting 8.7. I'm sure 317 heads for it, or find something different on a boosted application versus the 7875 TBS intake sloppy best. Lots of questions there. 317 heads would be better than having iron heads. Aluminum heads are always better. Less detonation, change in detonation threshold. Yes, put a cam in it. I don't know how much power you want, or if you're going to run a 7875 turbo, and are you going to try to spin it all the way up? Like what kind of power you want? I was up all night arguing with a woman about valve events. Cam and BTR 660 springs. Oh, mad. Okay, that's different than MSD. Yeah. It runs no tune. How can I save money? I don't know how you get away from not tuning. I mean, I think you can drive it around like that, and especially under closed loop, it will self-tune under closed loop, but it won't do that. You'll have some fuel trims, but it's not going to tune itself at wide open throttle. What did the rear carb M90 make for max boost? The boost level with the 2.6 pulley was the same as it was with the carburetor in the other place, and the same as it was fuel injected. I think at the beginning of the RPM range, I think it was around 7 and dropped down to 4.4 1/4, I think, at the top of the RPM range. Genuine Bosch 210s are a decent price for what you get compared to the competitors. And that gives you a lot of room. I'm assuming that those will idle, right? $1,000 for a tune, that seems like a lot. Check out LS Droid and tune it yourself. It's not too bad. LS Droid is almost free compared to $1,000. That's a big difference. Standalone ECM, you can get away with lousy injectors. OEM ECMs, it's like a Rubik's Cube, and they really need good injector data to tune properly. I have never looked at injector data in any of the time that I've ever tuned anything. But I don't ever do OEM injector stuff, though. I mean, or OEM computer stuff. Yeah, for $1,000, I think I would go learn. It would be better. There's good videos on it to watch. That's good. Spend a little bit of time. Get some droid education online on the line. Go to YouTube. That's where all the answers are. $1,000 for a tune is pretty normal in Australia. Man, I have a 7875 and sloppy best cam. Already was told to get 243 heads for the 6-liter, but found 317 heads for a good deal. Just trying to make sure it's going to be worth it. Well, 243 heads will make more NA power than 317 heads, but because you have a 7875 turbo, that's not really your question or your concern. You can put the 317 heads on and max out that turbo. So you can make all the power that the turbo will make, and a 243 head is not going to help you do that. I'm about to start hacking away at my stock harness to make a standalone. Yeah, Taylor, he doesn't need 243s, not with a turbo. He's fine. Starting to imagine a tractor with a baby F1 sound coming from the stack. That would be interesting. Have you ever done any testing with a turbo application regarding feeding fuel rails individually versus a crossover? You don't need to do that unless you have pressure drop somewhere. And quite honestly, people would be surprised. We've done 1,000 horsepower stuff on 5/16 fuel rail, feeding one side of it, deadheading it. So this notion that you need a -8 rail and that you need to Y the -8 rail and feed it that way because you're going to run out of fuel. People are not doing actual pressure testing all the way through the rail to find out what the drop is. The only guys that I'm sure somebody else has done it, but Jim Bell did a bunch of that. Pressure tested, put pressure taps all over the rails. In fact, all over the fuel system from the tank all the way up to find out what the pressure drop was in small lines and stuff. And it's actually amazing how much power you can make with what size line you can use. People are way overestimating the amount of rail and fuel line that they need for different applications. If you're trying to make 3,000 horsepower, you need to go all in on something like that. But on 1,000 horsepower, you don't need that stuff. What's the most plentiful engine in your favorite junkyard? I don't know. I've never tested or counted all the different variations to see which one there's more of. A lot of them I don't look for. So it might be that some small import motor or some other domestic motor is I don't know, a 4-cylinder V6 or something else that's there that I'm never looking for, but it's there in abundance. But otherwise I don't know. I look for specific things. I look for weird stuff in the specialty area, like that Boss motor or the Cleveland motor that I should have got that I kick myself for every day. I look at big blocks. I look at LSs, mostly checking the cylinder heads to find out what LS it is. I look at the supercharged 3800s. Occasionally we'll look at V6s. And then sometimes Hemis, and I might be going there to look at something very specific, which I then kind of focus in on. Get 317 heads and send it aiming for 800 horsepower for my 95 Cobra. Just trying to make sure I have the right combination. Yeah, you can make if the turbo will make 800, then you're good to go. My fuel rail is on one bank and out to the fuel pressure regulator on the other bank. Yeah, normally if you're doing a return style, the pump feeds the rail and the rail loops around to the other rail, and then that rail exits to a regulator and the regulator returns back to the tank. If you deadhead it, it goes to the rail or goes to the regulator, and then the regulator goes up to the rail. We normally feed one side with a crossover and normally deadhead it. We've done it the other way, but I'm never running anything that needs to be 2,000 or 3,000 horsepower. What would you say is the most readable daily driver horsepower numbers from a single turbo LM753 versus a twin turbo? There's no difference between a single turbo and twin turbos. If you size the turbos to do what you want, they're going to provide the same power potential. So none of that matters. Do you remember the 2,000 or so horsepower all aluminum Pontiac big block from Hot Rod magazine from years ago? And I wonder what happened to it. I don't remember that, but that would be cool. My guess on the dyno pulls is probably way off. I don't remember what your guess was. I figured that was the case given Matt made over 1,000 wheel horsepower with stock rails on his Colorado. I think that this thought stemmed from a couple of guys who burned up pistons on the opposite bank of cylinders. I guarantee you that they burned up cylinders not from a fuel rail problem. Jay, did you make a comment before that I didn't see? Scrolling back, but I'm not seeing it. No, it went back pretty far. I didn't see anything. Can't wait to see to help ship that cam. Is that what the thing is? Oh, thank you very much. Okay, now I'm going the wrong way. I should have gone down and not up or whatever. Thank you very much. I gotta keep reading my comments here. What's the next big bang going to be? Probably the 3800. Cheap wideband will get expensive with sensors burning out. Cheap option. Ballinger AFR 500 is a good choice. A lot of grudge and no prep guys are going to LS on turbo with 200 shots for spool. And then the last 200, I'm assuming the engine likes more than not. Do you have any prior tests like this? Are you asking if I've run no prep levels of power with nitrous on the hit and then at the top of the RPM range? I haven't done any of that on the engine dyno. I think the VSR 7875 would be enough for my goals, or should I get another 78 75 and do twins for the 6-liter. Well, I don't think you want to do twin 7875s because that's going up near 2,000 horsepower with a turbo. And if you don't want to make 2,000 horsepower, then the other turbo is just a waste. If you want to make 800 horsepower, a 7875 is going to do that. Does the 4-1 header require a specific pattern for best scavenging? No. Scott, what's going on? The Bosch sensors with the Holly kits were junk. The NTK was much better. J Mank, thank you very much. What did I miss? Everything. You missed the blower. You missed the cool ported M90 blower. Whoa. This is one of them, but there are two of them. See, you missed all that. See, we started without you. I like Steve Morse's take on LSs. It's super wicked cool. What kind of things do I have to buy, Scott? Yeah, there's that's the one from Jokers. Both the ported housings are here. They arrived today, which is very, very cool. I'm excited about that. Excited about testing. I'm hoping that we see. I want there to be more airflow. I want there to be more power, as as always. We're at 615. I think that there's more there. If even before reported, I think that there's more there. Can we get to 700? I don't know. Ponic 400 with a Ram Air 4 cam was a mid-range beast. I have a Ram Air 4 cam and a Ram Air 3 cam. Must be another extremely intelligent, handsome dude in the room. What would you recommend for a good lifter and push rod for the sloppy best cam? Not looking to go past 7. I run the factory cams. All of these 7600 factory lifters. All of these 7600 runs are run with the factory lifter. Otherwise, most guys are going, I think, with a LS7 lifter. My question is, have you put a 200 shot on a 1,000 horsepower turbo LS on the dyno? Does 200 nitrous make happier power than 200 horsepower worth of boost? It depends. It depends on you can take a look at the test that I ran where we ran nitrous on turbo stuff. We didn't do it. I don't think we were at the 1,000 horsepower. I think we were closer to 900. The adding nitrous will add power because it adds boost. It changes the pressure unless your gate has, quick reaction time. I would rather add 200 horsepower from boost than I would add 200 horsepower from nitrous. On a turbo application, I think that it's easier on the motor to do that. The spike in pressure is less with the turbo than it is with nitrous. I would rather use nitrous to get the turbo spooled up and then let the turbo do what it's supposed to do. That's my opinion, but I'm not out there racing professionally. Did you say how much better the Gen 5 blower was than the Gen 3? I don't know specifically. All I know is internet fodder. I can now. Well, I need to get another Gen 5 blower because I don't have a stock. Hello, Bruno. I don't have a stock Gen 5 blower. So I would like to compare a stock Gen 5 blower versus a stock Gen 3 blower on some combination where we're kind of taxing the limit. Hey, Brady. You want to come up and say hi? Come here. Come on up. Hello. Hello. Everybody say hi. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Who's that? Who do you see? I know. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, go guard. Go perimeter. Go perimeter. Go up perimeter. And so I don't know how much it is. I'd like to test it. We know that one has a bigger inlet, so it's going to make more power, and also has a bigger discharge, and it's supposed to have a better rotor pack or coded rotor pack or something. So I'm thinking it's better. I think that the difference we see will be a function of how high are we twisting this thing? Like, what are we putting it on? Are we asking it to make a lot of flow, and then the difference will be more pronounced that way. Have you seen the video of an LS with 8-to-1 turbo header on an engine dyno? It would be interesting to see some testing done with a hot side like that. Lots of work, though. I am working with the guys from Stainless Headers, who are great guys, and they are going to send me an 8-into-1 collector, and then also maybe one of their do-it-yourself header kits. So I'll make an 8-into-1 that will work on the dyno. Also, we're doing some other things together. A nitrous jet just double whatever it is on a turbo application versus NA. From what I've seen, I don't agree with that. That it's not magic. The only way that the nitrous can make more power on a turbo application is if it adds boost, and that's exactly what it did on ours. Three commercials have interrupted the live stream. Good. That means I'm making money, right? Watch out. You can't go under the. No, you can't. You don't get to go under there. Go, 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 go. You're supposed to be walking perimeter. What if we get attacked by cats or squirrels or something? I'm building a 411. I'm going to give a 400 shot of nitrous, but I kind of want to try quad turbo. In your opinion, I think that's possible. There's enough room, but tuning aspect, I'll just try twins first. I don't know why you want, I mean, other than the G-Wiz application, I don't know why you'd want to try four turbos on it. It's not necessary. But, you know, do what you got to do. Fun fact, the Rammer 4 cam went through thousands of load designs. So do you know the cam designers or something? Do you have information to that effect? Yeah, the dogs are awesome. Hello, doggies. I want to see the ported blower run. Me too. No, you don't get to go under there. I know you want to. I get it. I hear you, but you're not gonna. Will a supercharger really double your horsepower? Yes, if you have a 400 horsepower motor and you put a supercharger on that's capable of supporting 800 horsepower, it can easily do that. You know, we've run turbos where we've tripled the power output. So all of that's possible. If twin turbos are cool, quad turbos are cooler. Exactly. They're like twice as cool as twin turbos. Can you explain head flow, saturation, reversion? I don't think I can. Unless you're talking about that on a flow bench where we reach the maximum flow limit and then actually it starts to go back down, if that's what you're talking about. I just got off work. Did I miss it? How far did they port the M90 housing? They ported all of it. I gotta show you guys again. Come on. See, this is one of them. Ooh, in there. The side. I needed my light. Your dog likes shop talk. It's more of a wow factor. Yeah, it is, but it's, you know, it works. Would you ever test a roadie? Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to get my hands on a 12A or a 13B. Like to see a test on a ported LSA blower. The guys from Brian Tooley Racing have some of that data. They tested some stuff with some fairly impressive results. Please compare equal length, full length header with a properly designed tri-Y header. I don't know what you mean by properly designed. You actually would have to design both headers specifically for the combination that you're testing it on to try to optimize both designs. There is no 4-into-1 versus tri-way. There is only a 4-into-1 versus a tri-Y on a combination. That's not a universal thing. I think top fuel guys are probably close to double the NA power. Yeah, at least, right? I never thought I'd be turned on by a blower housing. I know, it's just like, ooh, does it need bigger rotors now? No, it needs the same size rotors. That blower is significantly lighter. I forgot about that, Scott. That's definitely true, right? It's gonna be faster accelerating because we've dropped a bunch of aluminum weight. It'd have been interesting to weigh it before and after. I've concluded that BMW uses twin turbos to cost their customers more money. Sometimes we talk about this all the time. The twin turbo, single turbo thing is normally just packaging. So what can you fit and where can you fit it? I mean, it's cooler to say I have a twin turbo because, you know, 2 is better than 1. But sometimes you just can't fit a big single turbo. There isn't room. And a BMW engine compartment with an inline 6-cylinder is a good example. There's a size limitation that you could fit, but you might be able to fit 2 of them. Fixing a big oof from yesterday. I was putting in a new radiator for my son and plumbed water into the trans. Realized right when I started it up. Uh-oh. That might be okay. I like to get an RCR 917 clone. Those are cool. On the subject of superchargers, I like to see some LS dyno tests with the popular hood closed low format style roots blowers, Magnus and Whipple. That's why I put this M90 on my truck, because we were going to run it with the hood closed and see what it did, because this fits under the hood. Because we ran it with a low ram and not a high ram. I want to resubmit the idea that the tri-Y may be better for certain firing orders than others. Please try tri-Y versus long tube on both both firing orders. So you think that a firing order is going to be, but will it be tri-Y specific or 4-1 specific more so than those combination, whatever that combination of header is, versus the actual cam timing and induction system and stuff? Scott, spelling's not your strong point. Had a prime rib. That's good. But did you run it with a Skyram? No, I didn't. Finally got the valve strings done. So it's just day drinking. So close out our poll at 72%. Has the L33 run more than 150 dyno pulls? So 72. I can't remember what the poll was. I can't remember what the poll results were yesterday. What was it up there? Was it 3/4 or something saying that it was more than 100? So I'll write this down. So plus 150, 72, 72%. Yes. 28%. No, plus 100. So we'll end our poll. It's Tuesday, Jeremy. What's the most horsepower and torque out of a 351 Windsor? The most I've ever done is that turbo one where it was over 1,000 horsepower and probably over 1,000 foot-pounds, if I remember right, when we were doing dumb things on it. Tri-Y into a single exhaust with correct firing order, I have heard can make nice broad range torque and sounds remarkably similar to a flat plane crank. So you think that changing the firing order with a header is going to change power? Guess the channel Gears and Gasoline did a test on a Tri-Y and 4-1s on an S2000. On a 4-cylinder, the mere fact that Honda uses a Tri-Y design on their 4-cylinder should give you an indication on what works very well. But I probably did 15 headers on one test and probably 7 or 8 on the other one back when I did my Honda books. And we ran on the single cam motor, we had Tri-Ys and 4-1s make exactly the same power, depending on which configuration of header we picked. Some of them were short, some of them were long, some of them merged together right away. Some of them were 4, like one of them was a short 4 into a single, I don't know if is that a B pipe? Is that a collector? When it's merged like that. That one was terrible, by the way, but it fits stuff. So not changing the firing order, just ordering the pulses correctly. I'm at 4302 firing order. Many older AMG, Mercedes, and BMW V8 factory firing order. The Tri-Y uses the Ford HO firing order. Changing firing order could balance out scavenging. Does Westech charge you for dyno time, or is it occasional pizza at Wings enough payment for them? Pizza and Wings are not going to get it done. Jokers mess with those little blowers. Should have made good gains. We'll see what happens. We don't know. I don't know if I didn't ask them if this is the first time that they ever have ported M90 blowers. I guess I should have asked them that. Just need to plug everything in. Maybe it'll run tomorrow. Good. Centra, good luck, man. Let us know what happens after you start it. Got to go check valve lash. That's good. Peace. Can you do 4/7 firing order swap cam on a small wax Chevy to see if it gains any power? It doesn't. Westech has already tested that. And on a big block, and it doesn't. The swap alone, if that's all you do, doesn't change power. Or not doesn't as a universal thing. Didn't change power on the 2 combinations that they tried it on. I think Freiberger did that test also. Just swapping didn't do anything. I've needed to do valve lash on my Mercedes for 140,000 miles. That's a lot. Do I need to look at my truck now? Oh, 240,000. If I hit the lottery, I'd immediately buy an engine dyno. I head to the junkyard to grab a bunch of oddball engines to see what they can make. Do you think increasing the rocker ratio on a stock cam is worth the cost? Sometimes guys do that when they don't have cam options. They run different rocker ratios, and it can add power. And I would say that you'd be more apt to add power with rockers on a stock cam than you would on aftermarket cams, which have already increased the lift. Magnuson has an M90 case that flows great. I believe its outlet is more like the Thunderbird. I saw one aftermarket one available. How long would you trust leaving an engine under a tarp? As long as you didn't get water in it. And I hope that it's sealed up just so that it doesn't get, like, you know, moisture from the air inside of it. Are you in the US? Yes, I am. And on that note, it is time to go. Please go watch the video that I just, it's the Summit LS or Summit Pro LS cams versus the world, basically. So go check that out. Let me know what you think, and I will see you guys all. I might try to go on late tonight.